Today, we're diving into one of the most epic, most complicated family dramas of all time, the Mahabharata. And really, this isn't just a story about ancient kings and epic battles. It's about how one family, through a series of vows, curses, and just plain bad decisions, ended up in a war that would tear their entire world apart. So let's trace the cracks that shattered a dynasty.
So that's the big question, right? How in the world does a story that starts with a king falling in love end with millions dead on a battlefield? It feels like a tragic puzzle, and that's exactly what we're going to piece together today, looking at the key moments that sealed this family's fate. And believe it or not, it all starts with one choice, a single promise that completely changes the course of history. We begin with King Shantanu of Hastinapura, and a moment where his heart went one way, and his duty, his Dharma, went another.
Okay, so picture this. Here's King Shantanu. He's got everything: a powerful kingdom, the respect of his people, and a perfect son and heir named Devavrata. But then he meets Satyavati, and he is just completely head over heels. The problem? Her dad says, sure, you can marry my daughter, but only if her kids get the throne. So Shantanu is stuck. What does he choose? His love or his duty to his firstborn son? Well, seeing his father so heartbroken, Prince Devavrata makes one of the most incredible sacrifices you can imagine. He decides that his father's happiness is his highest duty. So he doesn't just give up the throne. No, he goes a step further and takes a vow of lifelong celibacy, just to guarantee that no child of his could ever challenge Satyavati's future sons. It was such a terrible vow that from that day on, he was known as Bhishma. And for it, he was given a divine gift, the power to choose the moment of his own death. And you can see the fallout right here, clear as day. The entire future of the Kuru dynasty was basically rerouted in a single afternoon. What should have been a strong, stable line of succession was suddenly thrown aside for something new, unproven, and, as we'll see, incredibly fragile. The seeds of chaos were officially planted.
So you're probably wondering how this new plan worked out. Well, that sacrifice that was meant to bring so much happiness, it almost immediately brought the dynasty to the absolute brink of collapse. Welcome to the great crisis of the Kuru dynasty.
Yeah, it's just tragic. Both of Satyavati's sons die young. The one who becomes king, Vichitravirya, dies without a single child. The very lineage that Bhishma sacrificed his entire life for has failed. The Kuru dynasty is now staring at total extinction. There's an empty throne, and there's nobody left to fill it.
So, in a total panic, Queen Mother Satyavati goes to Bhishma and begs him, please break your vows, save our family. But he refuses. He is bound by his oath. So she turns to this last-ditch effort, an ancient custom called niyoga. This was essentially a rule for exactly this kind of emergency, allowing a widow to have a child with another man just to keep the family line going. It was their last hope.
Now, what's fascinating is how this all plays out. Satyavati summons her other son, the great sage Vyasa, to perform the niyoga. But he's been living as a hermit, and his appearance terrifies the widowed queens. Queen Ambika is so scared she shuts her eyes, and her son, Dhritarashtra, is born blind. The other queen, Ambalika, turns pale with fear, and her son, Pandu, is born pale and sickly. Finally, a maidservant is sent who isn't afraid, and her son, Vidura, is born healthy and wise. So the dynasty is saved, but it's reborn with flaws, literally from day one.
And right here, this is the moment the family tree splits right down the middle, creating the two rival branches we all know, the Kauravas and the Pandavas. You have the sons of the blind Dhritarashtra on one side and the sons of the pale Pandu on the other, both with a claim to the very same throne. And if you think things were complicated before, just you wait. Dhritarashtra, even though he's the older brother, gets passed over for the throne because he's blind. This creates a deep resentment in him. And his wife's brother, Shakuni, is so insulted that his sister was married to a blind man that he secretly vows to destroy the entire family from the inside out. Meanwhile, Pandu does become king, but then he gets hit with a curse. The moment he's intimate with either of his wives, he will die. So let's just lay it all out. On one side, you've got the Kauravas, 100 sons born to the blind, resentful brother, Dhritarashtra. On the other side are the Pandavas, 5 sons born to the cursed king, Pandu, through divine intervention. The Kauravas claim the throne because their dad is the older brother. The Pandavas claim it because their dad was the one who was actually crowned king. Two sides, both believing they're right. You can already see where this is headed.
Now, As if that wasn't enough, we have to talk about two massive wildcards. Two figures who aren't technically in the direct line of succession, but who will become absolutely central to this whole conflict: Karna and Krishna.
So get this, Pandu's wife Kunti had a secret. Before she was married, she had a son with the sun god himself. This baby was born with divine armor fused to his skin, a literal prince among men. But Kunti, afraid of the shame, put him in a basket and sent him down the river. He's found and raised by a simple charioteer. So he grows up as Karna, a warrior with the blood of gods and kings, but the social status of a commoner. And that burning resentment is going to push him right into the arms of his own brother's enemies. And then, on the Pandavas' side, there's Krishna. The family connection is actually pretty simple. His dad is Kunti's brother, which makes him a first cousin to the 5 Pandava princes. But he is so much more than that. He's an incarnation of the god Vishnu on Earth, and he becomes their guide, their protector, their strategist. He's the one who will ultimately define what Dharma even means when everything falls apart.
All right, let's pull it all together. Because every single piece of this backstory we've talked about, it isn't just a story. Each one is a seed of destruction, planted generations ago, just waiting for the right moment to sprout into a full-blown war.
You see how it's all connected? It's like a perfect storm. Bhishma's rigid vow creates a fight for the throne from the very beginning. Dhritarashtra's blindness, both the literal and his refusal to see the evil in his own sons, lets injustice fester. You have Shakuni in the background, constantly whispering poison and fanning the flames of hate. Pandu's curse creates a whole separate line of powerful heirs. And Karna's tragic past creates this incredible warrior whose loyalty is tragically pointed in the wrong direction. It wasn't one thing. It was a catastrophic chain reaction. And all of that leaves us with the epic's central, haunting question. When it feels like every vow, every curse, every family secret has already set you on a path to war, is there any real choice left? When the only thing your family passes down to you is hatred and rivalry, can you ever really change your destiny?